Welcome back to Paigeforge. Today we're going to be starting from scratch. So we're going to go over how to actually draft in Paigeforge. So we're going to create a brand new book from scratch, and we are going to work on a quick story Bible. And then I think we're going to probably do maybe a quick chapter draft as well. That's what we're planning on doing over here. Okay, so we are going to go new. We're going to go new book. And let's see, what is going to be the title of my fantastic brand new book? I have absolutely no ideas of what we're going to be doing. So we're just going to say working paranormal because I have no ideas. And we're not going to do a series drafting. Actually, we're going to go planning. It's probably, oh, we lost focus. There we go. So this happens if you just click off this, it just cancels. So that's just something to, if you want to change this, don't do a drag like I just did. So working paranormal, and pen name is just going to be, oh, that should actually be a thing, but we're just going to do Jules, Ducat. So it's the same pen name, and we're not doing a series drafting, and then we're going to double click to change this to 60K. Deadline, we're just going to set one just so you can kind of see those. We'll just say October 31st, Halloween. And we're going to say paranormal romance. And subgenre, we're going to do Halloween. I don't know why. We're going to do a Halloween short book thing. Okay, so we're going to do create. And we're going to come down here. We've got working paranormal. I am going to quickly come over here, and I'm just going to grab one of my placeholder book covers because why not? You know, we're already working in here. Why not have a pretty little cover as well? So I am just going to, I already have my paranormal romance and monster romance, which is a bummer for this. I'm going to do paranormal women's fiction, even though that's not what we're doing. And if I come over here, you just have to hold shift so that you can drag and drop it in. And we've got chapter 1 as a placeholder. And over here, we've got notes, outline, canon, story Bible, all the good jazz. Okay. So what we're going to do is I'm going to do story Bible, and I'm going to minimize this Paigeforge guy so that I have a little more room, and I'm going to open this in Markdown because that again gives me that as a focus of what file I'm in. Okay. And I'm going to also hide the notes panel because I don't really need that. And we're going to leave the contents open though. Okay. So we are over here in Claude. I'm going to see, who are we with? We are with Sonnet. That's fine. Okay. So actually, I'm going to have haiku just because this is a test. So we don't need the highest quality if we're being really honest right now. So the, actually, no, we're not. Because haiku, they don't trust haiku. Because really the only way I can put this is they do not trust haiku. So it is manual or edit automatically, but it doesn't have an auto mode. Only Sonnet or higher actually has a auto mode. So we're going to do Sonnet so that we don't have to approve every single little edit here. All right. And then we're going to be working on a story idea. I haven't done this in so long as of like recording this. So I am going to pause really quick so that you don't have to suffer through me trying to come up with a concept for something. Okay, so we have a little story idea here for a Halloween special of a witch accidentally turns a pumpkin into a man, or what she thinks is a man, but is actually a demon, who's trying to get her in bed so he can stay in the human land. And there is a bug driving me up a wall now. Okay, so we are just going to shoot this off and see what Claude does. Okay, I'll load the quick start skill, orientated, blah, blah, blah. So I was trying to see if we already have details in here or not. Brush scaffolds, and I'm going to come back when this is done. Okay, so it's asking me some questions. Word count target 60K is the set goal. We describe this as a short reads. That's a good thing that it actually just caught. Yes, it should be 25K. What should we name the witch and the demon in the pumpkin's body? You pick placeholder names for now. We'll look at that later because I'm not going to worry about it. If I was actually working on a real project, I probably Jack O'Malley Thorn. That's cute. Ren Ashby. These are probably like hardcore. Thorn definitely is an AI name that the name checker would catch, but we are just working with working titles and character names for now, so I don't care. That's fine. And boom, it's filling out the premise. So I may need to, yeah. So you just need to click off on the right view so that it automatically loads. Control versus hunger. Okay. And it's reading my other story Bible files, which is canon, questions, seeds, timeline, and world. So soon to add questions even. That's probably not something it needs to do, but that's fine. Oh, and it's just going to go straight into the outline. All right. We shall see how this works. I would definitely be way more in control of what this looked like. And honestly, something that is worth noting is because while he's chugging along, I'm going to show you something else. So over here in Explorer, this is your actual library setup, which is, obviously set up by Paigeforge so that it's a correct format and it's consistent. But if you see up here, there's a .agents folder and a .claude folder. So if you look at Claude folder, we have some skills here: import knowledge, pen voice, quick start, research, scripts, etc. And if we look at agents, we have the exact same ones. And if we actually open these up, so this actually shows, it just points to the agents files so that not everything is redirected. And so here your job is a librarian, not an editor. So this is for the import, is a librarian, not an editor. And then we have knowledge. What do all my sources say about one thing? And then we have a pen voice skill and how to get style references and things like that. A quick start just for it to be able to get understanding. And then this is summaries, takeaways, so that if it's going to be doing research, it's not just making stuff up. And then this is actually from something else. Like, I'm going to be real straight from there. Okay. So, it actually would just be these top four. These two are actually belong to something else. And I don't know how they actually got in this folder. That's kind of funny, but, these are actually belong to a, different extension. So those will be removed when you get these. All right. And over here we've got, and I'm going to close this out. And I'm going to hide that again. And we've got book. Word count is been changed. So let's actually look at library and see if the word count has indeed been changed. And it has been changed. So that's cool. I hadn't even really thought about the fact that it could change those types of things. So that's actually kind of cool. So we definitely have a story Bible. We don't have any seeds yet. Timeline also. Okay. And nothing here. Okay. So we do have characters though. We have characters. Good. One alt name decided against. Okay. And world. Okay. We do have some world things around places. Okay. And do we have an outline? Okay. We've got an outline of all of the acts with the opening image, inciting incident. So we already have some ideas. Obviously, again, if I were doing this for real, would I just like take it wholesale from here? No, absolutely not. But for the check here, which is really just to help you guys just see how this would work, I'm not going to worry about it. So we are already in chapter 1. Oh, this is interesting too. We have like a little timeline guy here. So we have a timeline already open. I'm going to close this and reopen in chapter 1. Begin writing here. So I'm going to remove begin writing here. And we do have a timeline thing. So what I'm going to ask it, 2 open questions. It says we have open questions. Do we have open questions? Oh, we do. My bad. I didn't see that. Okay. Things not decided yet. Exactly how does Ren's transformation magic normally work? And what did she do differently that let a demon ride in on it instead of just turning into a pumpkin and the pumpkin into a decorative man-shaped thing? First time, so we're just going to tab did not work. Okay. So we're going to just do here. First time this has happened, she usually just makes like healing tinctures. But I don't know why. But that's what we're going with. What happened to Jack if the veil closes while he's still in human form? Does he get stuck? Yanked back? Okay. He gets sent back to the dimension he came from, and it sucks. Again, would I spend a lot more time on this? Normally, yes. What is Jack staying human from? What actually on the other side reference would wound, but not answer? He just like he comes from a crappy place and thinks this is better. Come in, no demons can cross this way, or okay. I don't want her to have a coven. She is a solitary witch. And okay, so this has now been saved. Great. And I'm gonna come over here and actually do that so that it just updates to the questions file instead. Yeah, can we update to no coven? Answered the other questions. And do we need a chapter by chapter plan before you start drafting? So let's see what it says now. So it probably is going to change some of the world stuff. Maybe the main story Bible. Yep, just changed canon. Oh, edit failed. Might be because this is open. I'll just rewrite the file. Okay. I tried editing and it added something that it didn't like. Okay, I will be back when this is done. Okay, so it changed the canon and world. So we've got solitary witch, transmutation magic in its failure mode. First time she's attempted, blah, 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 blah. Naming patterns, so we don't really have any of that. Story Bible. Okay, so, we didn't even read that. Contemporary small city, visible if you know where to look, magical community. Honestly, I think we are just going to rock and roll from here. Okay, so let's just say, yes, please. Draft me chapter 1. Thank you. And I'm going to come back when this is done, but really quickly too, I'm going to do a test with Cline and see. It's checking for voice guidance before drafting. I don't have one, but that is good that it like automatically was like, oh, I should check and see if there's voice guide, which I would suggest setting up before this, which I'll do a separate video on those deals. But what I was about to say is I'm going to do a test with Cline and possibly try out 1 or 2 other extensions, because one of the things I was thinking about is Cline works with openrouter, which is great, and it also works with Cline Pass, which is also great, but it is a harness, and what a harness is basically a series of system prompts that are built into Cline, and it is done to make Cline a really good coder. And one of the things that Cline does is it spawns sub-agents a lot, and now that could be really great for writing, because it could spawn sub-agents to, like, right here, Sonnet did all of this stuff for the world file and the story Bible and the outline, and potentially Cline could actually do those things in like each a little sub-agent, which could also cost more, or it could be really efficient, it could be better quality. It's really kind of hard to say. And I'm also not sure if Cline has any censorship in the harness. So ROO code, ROO code, is another alternative that also uses openrouter. And then there's also something called Continue, which is a lot more bare bones from what I've seen. So we might be trying those really quickly on maybe like a spicy scene. So that's where we're kind of at here. Okay, so chapter 1 is drafted. I left his last name out per the open note. Jack now, easy to load later. Honestly, would he have a last name? He's a demon. Like, Not to be rude, but like I think he's just like kind of like just a demon. Ren Ashby had rehearsed the pitch 14 times, and on the 15th, she was going to nail it if it killed her. So one of the things that immediately noticed, I usually do first person, but there isn't any voice references to let him know that. And I didn't tell him that I usually do first person, so this is third. That's fine. So this is interesting. Like, she seems to have like a corporate job. We have the pumpkin, blah, 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 blah. So I'm curious on what word count we're at. Oh, we actually have it right here. 1600. That's pretty decent for a chapter 1. Okay. Oh, and we have a very nice proper scene break. So to pay attention to the formatting. You were a pumpkin for a little while. Yeah. Okay. So that shows you that Claude can come in here. It can see what files you have. It knows essentially what we're working with. And outline too, like that's another thing that you could really alter in the extension itself is like you could have, if you have an outline setup that you really like, you could use that as the placeholder, and then Claude would use that by default. So if you only write romance, you might only have like romance outlines. You could do something like that very easily with the with a vibe code change. So now what we're going to do is we're going to switch over to Cline, and I am going to add a new chapter, and we're just going to call it chapter 2. That's fine. Okay. And I am going to look, I didn't even look. Okay, where did we end off? She did not in that moment consider that he might not still be a man by 5 o'clock, or that he might be something considerably less containable than that. Okay. Okay. So really quick, we're going to change the mode. So what we're going to do is I'm going to pick a model. I'm going to pick Ion 3. I'm going to do 3 mini just because we're doing tests. I'm going to, do I want thinking? No, I don't want thinking. Okay. So I'm going to hit done. So now I have a Ion 3 mini, which is a uncensored model that I've done tests with for uncensored work. So we should be good there. And, oh, I just did. I'm just going to click that so that we get this back. And because I think that this should know what's up. And again, this is a test. We're testing to see if this is going to work. And if not, then we're going to test a couple other options. And I'm just going to close this little Cline pass thing. Okay. And this is on auto approve. Okay. We don't need MCP servers. Execute save commands. Yeah. And we also want edit project files. Okay. We don't want edit all files because then it can do anything anywhere on your computer. We don't want that. So there we go. Okay. So we have chapter 1, and we have a story, Bible, and outline. I would like a spicy chapter 2. The premise means they can't go all the way, but our demon Jack is really trying to hook her. So we need some spicy times. Okay, this is a terrible prompt. These are all terrible prompts, but this is just to see what we can do with these AI agents. So I'm just gonna shoot it off. And we've got 131 contexts, which is not bad. So so it is thinking a little bit. I think AI on both of the models, I think that they have to think. I don't know if you can disable their thinking. So we shall see. So right now it is on a loop saying, I will not include any additional thinking or analysis outside of the tags. And this is really fun. And I do not see a stop. Oh, there is a cancel here. So I'm going to hit cancel. I'm just going to say, you got stuck on a loop. I'm wondering if this isn't because AI on Mini would not be a good coding model. And so I'm wondering if the harness is messing with it because of that. So let's see. Start reading. Okay, so now it's trying. Cline read 1 file. So it read chapter 1. I saw chapter 2 is empty, hopefully. And it's looking at our folder. Okay, looking at the story Bible. We are at 19,000 for input right now, which is something really nice because you are using openrouter. Like it's telling me right now this has already cost me 5 cents. And it's just doing its like preliminary. To be fair though, this would be context that would be then somewhat stored and possibly cached if we were working on chapter 3 right after. Okay, so we are chugging along. I'm just going to open outline just so that. So if you were working on chapter 3 right after this, I would imagine a lot of that might be cached, which is good because it already has context as you were working. That is something, though, you want to keep in mind, that you don't want to end up with too much context. So you don't want to do a ton of chapters in one chat. Honestly, even with the Claude one, I will say that typically I would do planning in one chat, and then I would do like either a clear to clear all of the context and then start drafting, or I would just start a new chat. Okay, so we have a chapter 2. Okay, and it opened for us. Here we go. It wanted to open in the main one. Okay. And it seems to be just giving me like a rundown of everything. Jack fresh from the shower, just a towel. Can't go all the way is explicit. Okay. It is a little bit wordy on like, so now it's just, I'm gonna hit cancel because it's just like kind of getting, again, like it's kind of getting a loop on like the end part. So I wouldn't say that doing this test, I'm like super impressed with how the harness handled that just to get the chapter. And that was 30,000 context, and it should cost me 10 cents. So let me actually pause, and I'm going to grab my openrouter logs and see if that is accurate. Okay, so now we can see a little bit more clearly what was going on here. So this shows that there was like input output. So like each of those tool calls cost us individually. So we can see that there were multiple. Oh, here we go. Okay, so this actually shows that that was 5 cents, not 10 cents. So that's interesting. Because that's basically showing that that I spent almost, yeah, like not even 5.5 cents on that. So that's not terrible for a chapter. It is, though, for a chapter written by Minnie versus the full Aion, which I would actually probably use. And I'm just going to scan this really quickly to see if we've actually got anything spicy other than him coming out of the shower. Because I think they were supposed to have like a kiss. So I would say that that's pretty decent. Again, like this isn't testing if it were, you know, a higher spice than that, you know, if this were a sex scene, for instance. But I would say that that's doing pretty decent. So I don't think that there is a censoring on it. But let's just go to extensions, and I want to see continue, because that was one that I was it was showing that it's like very, so let's look there. This is the continue dev, so it's the official one. Because I think you can completely do your own prompt, system prompt. So that might be good. So I'm gonna actually install this, trust publisher. And I'm also going to look at root code because that was supposed to have a custom mode. And I think root code similarly, I'm going to just, this is the checkmarked one. Adapt with modes. So you can do custom modes. So code mode, architect, ask, debug, and custom. Okay. Oh, this is interesting. So root code has been shut down. I forgot about that. And Cline was what it came from originally. So this is saying a fork started by root code is zoo code. This is saying last 3 months ago. Yeah, so I guess that would be okay. So let's look at zoo code and see if that's still zoo code. Oh, and Kylo. I have heard of Kylo as well. So I might check out some of these other ones. If any of you check out that, let me know. So this has multi-mode as well and custom modes. So this is very similar, and Kylo is an official. And what I'm wondering is if, because root code had a like a pricing plan where similar to like Cline. And so that's something that I'm kind of interested in seeing. Is this only open router, or do they have like any type of subscription where you could get extra? I'm betting the open source definitely does not. But we'll install, let's install this one too. And trust. Okay, so I'm gonna come over here to continue. And so let's see. So you can bring OpenAI, Anthropic, Google, Gemini. Okay, or you can use local models. I'll click here to view more. Provider. Okay, openrouter. Because I was like, I don't want to mess with that. Okay, and let's actually pull up Grok 4.5 because we know he is going to be very, very uncensored. And I'm going to pause really quick while I grab an API key. Okay, so they have a little tutorial. Ouch. And so we do have 4.5, so we can add other models. So we have agent, which is what you'd want so that it can make changes. Let's see, attach context, disable model reasoning. Okay, so this says that it is actually pulling from the agents file already, which is great. So it's already going to have some context. So, and then there's a default agent model. So I'm wondering if there is no way to edit that, I guess. So that's something. Okay, so we're gonna just go back and similar idea. So first off, I'm gonna move this over to my sidebar where I have all of my models so that I can make this smaller again and get this out of my way. And okay, so let's see. So we've got chapter 2. So I'm gonna update to chapter 2. So I think what I'm gonna do is actually I'm gonna open outline. Doop-a-doop-doo. Honestly, like I'm noticing that we've got this is a really weak outline, but that's fine. What we're just going to do is we're gonna open the outline over here. Okay, so I'm gonna just say to Grok, I'm just gonna say, so we have a chapter 1 and 2, but they are a bit, okay, actually, because that's gonna probably edit. I'm thinking we need more spice in chapter 3. And again, this doesn't necessarily test like how the prose is doing, using something that isn't one of the native extensions, but it does show a little bit on whether or not, one, can you write romance with any steam to it? And 2, can you, use openrouter, and is it going to be extremely expensive or not using openrouter with an extension that is meant for coding, essentially. So we need more spice in chapter 3, but still not all the way. Please write that for me and ask any questions you have. Okay, and we're just going to shoot that off and see how we're doing here. So it is pulling orientate. So it's going ahead, continue, wants to read. Oh, so I have to accept. Is there a way to have it auto accept for me or no? So that might be something you might need to auto continue or auto allow. So okay, so already it's like going way off. Okay. So it was not looking at the files that we have open, which is a little bit of a problem, I would say. Though it did orientate itself quickly, but like every time it's like doing a search or anything, like those are tokens. So I'm going to pause while this does its thing. Okay, so we are back. And so we have 10 cents, which is fair because Grok 4.5 is a lot more expensive than the AIN Mini. And I did do a quick read through. Honestly, the prose isn't terrible, and we definitely got higher spice in this one. So I would say that Continue definitely also does not seem to have any censorship. It did also seem to do maybe a little bit less like full read through, which honestly I don't think is a bad thing. One thing I will say is I had to manually accept that it created a file. And then when it did create the file, because I didn't create it myself, I just had to bounce to the book and then bounce back to the right tab so that chapter 3 would show, which was just a really quick refresh. And then it did ask me some questions for the next chapters, and it definitely had no problem. It also did do a look at some different searches that were definitely spicy to see like where we were at. So I would say that that did pretty good. And it did pull in the agents file by default. So I think that that was decent. I'm not going to check Kylo right now because I have other things I gotta get done today. But that is another option. Honestly, between Continue and Cline, honestly, I'm not super mad at how Cline did. It did seem to use a lot in the context. Actually, let's look at that really quickly because we have price here. Do we have it? Tokens total. That's what I want to see. So tokens, we actually have 261 tokens for Grok and 196 for AION. So granted, like their tokenizer probably is not the same, but going off of that, you might be looking at a higher token use on Continue. Little bit hard to tell. And also hard to tell that this was it getting acclimated and figuring out what it was doing. So that is something that when you're using an agent, it has to be acclimated before it can start drafting. Versus, you know, something like paging poly where you're controlling the context completely. This is not that. So you are going to have the model trying to figure out where it is, what it's doing, looking at those agents files, looking at the story Bible and all that jazz. So honestly, I don't think either one of those token counts is astronomical by any means. That said, I would say that you're probably going to get a lot more bang for your buck in this type of instance out of your Claude subscription, your, you know, open AI subscription, your Grok subscription. If you are a spicy writer, you probably maybe have already invested in just doing Grok. And Grok does have Grok code. So I would presume that we've got Grok over here. I might be wrong. Grok chat. This is independent though. Do we have an official Grok? Oh, we might not because Grok now works with Cursor. So there may not be a default Grok, actually. Yeah, that's not it. You might be able to do a CLI, would be my guess. But Grok purchased Cursor to improve its coding. And so I don't think that there is actually, see, it says chat with the official CLI inside VS Code, but it is not an official plugin. So I would not trust this kind of thing unless it was coming from Grok. And none of these are official Grok extensions. So I would not probably use any of these unless I had assurances that this was going to be from the official. So Grok, you probably are going to be using inside Continue or Cline using your openrouter. And I don't remember, actually, let's see. I think Continue had some other options. So Continue might actually allow you to bring a Grok API, but I don't know about other options. So this is saying use your subscription. I would be hesitant with that in case they don't actually allow you to use third party because a lot of them do not. So I would say that, but I did want to actually just really quickly show Kimmy does actually have Kimmy code. This is the official one. Moonshot AI, that is the official Kimmy. So if you did want to do a Kimmy subscription to use, that's the one you would use for that. But yeah, I think Grok, if you'd have to have cursor for that. Or use the CLI with the terminal. So you would install the terminal and then you'd use it in here. Because I do believe that they have a CLI. Close out of these guys. But that gives you an idea of how to draft inside of Paigeforge using a couple different chat agents. And we did some fun tests today with Cline and with Continue. And honestly, I think both are definitely usable. I would be curious to see further testing to see if Continue usually ends up with a higher context, and that would also be easier to check against like the same model, because Grok might just be a little bit token hungry in general, which is definitely possible. And I will see you in the next one.